What's up, Wiz Nation? Coming back at you guys with another episode of State of the Wizards. I'm your host, D Can, along with my man, DC Hoopla. Please follow him on.
Follow me on DC Hoopla. You see the jersey? Follow me on DC Hoopla at Yahoo. I said Yahoo. At Twitter. At
That was
Twitter, you can also follow me on IG at DC Hoopla and also subscribe to the YouTube page.
for sure. So, thank you guys for again tuning in. This is episode 4 of State of the Wizards. Follow me on Wiz Takes on Twitter at Wiz Takes. So today we have some things we want to cover. Looks like in the land of the Wizards right now, we have some workout videos that's circulating around the internet of Bradley Beal, Spencer Dinwiddie, and looks like Bradley Beal's working on his long game.
Right. Pause.
It looks like he's working on his longer, deeper 3-point shot. And so we're gonna cover a couple of these things and what's circulating around the internet, what's being said, and we're gonna give our 2 cents on it. So State of the Wizards obviously is all about the state of the Wizards, where we are right now. We're in the off season. We don't have much going on. But when something like this comes up and is circulating around the internet, we want to talk about it. So K Jose, what you got as far as the workout between Beal and Dinwiddie?
Well, I saw the workout clips just about as much as everybody else did. And I'm not going to sit here and say that them two didn't look good, especially looking at Dinwiddie looking well, and especially with him recovering from this injury. You can show the clip, so when you sit there and look at it, of course, that's Jason Tatum, which, he's another guy that's actually looking pretty solid. I see he's bulked up this offseason. But just looking at Beal right there, I mean, that's what he always does as far as getting to the basket. We've already talked about how he's improved that part of his game as far as being able to create off the dribble, being able to beat his man off the dribble, be able to shoot off the dribble. But even with that 2-hand jam by Spencer Dinwiddie, it does bring a little bit of promise because he looks healthy. But again, can that transition into real basketball games is the question. Keep in mind, these are pickup games. It's kind of like watching preseason football. You look at certain things, you see flashes, but you can't really judge too much off of it until you actually see it in a real game. What I am concerned about by looking at these clips is we're going to see a little bit of what we saw this past season, where we're going to see the backcourt dominating the basketball when that is completely opposite of what the head coach has said. Offense is not our issue. It's defense. So this looks good, but I really hope that these guys are going to be really focusing on being better defenders this upcoming season.
So one thing that I noticed just by looking at these little brief clips, you see Bradley Beal going up against, Jason Tatum. I think that's, it's no secret that those two guys love playing against each other. They probably love playing with each other because, they were teammates for a brief stint on Team USA. But Bradley Beal being aggressive, taking it to the hole on Jason Tatum. I mean, clearly we know that's in his game. We also see Bradley Beal here on defense for once. I don't know how much we're going to see this during the season, but that right there is kind of what everyone wants to see out of Bradley Beal all season long. It's something that we don't see all season long. But when we do see it, we're like, okay, well, is this like the Ben Simmons jump shot, improvement in the off season? We know he could do it in a practice gym, but can he do it, in real time, real game circumstances?
And that remains to be seen. Who was that? Whose shot was that he blocked? It looked like James Johnson.
You know who that looked like? That looked like Ben McLemore.
Oh, well, there ain't nobody.
Now, Dinwiddie right here, I like the move. Him coming back from an ACL. Obviously, I was the first one that was, very critical of the fact that I don't think he'll be able to move the way he just showed me in this video. I did like the aggressiveness. However, a lot of this is still, we still don't really know what it's going to be like in game, because we know that the speed is different. Speed is different in pickup games versus real game, situations. But I do like the way he's moving. He looks fluid. I didn't expect him to jump off. I think that was the knee that he was, wasn't it the right knee?
Yeah, I think it's the right knee that he had, that he got the ACL on.
So he jumped off the right knee. Yeah, he jumped off the right knee. So he did jump off of the recovered ACL, and I thought he would go for a layup. He went up for a dunk. So that was surprising to me to see that.
Right, it was. It was surprising for me to see it too. It could have been one of them things where he was testing it. But again, we have to keep in mind, when the regular season starts, the game is completely at a different speed. Teams are actually playing more serious. So we'll have to see. It looks very, very promising. But keep in mind, Kelly Oubre is out there too, and he looks promising as well. So
Oubre always look promising.
They all look promising. These are pickup games,
right.
But we just have to see what happens when it comes to the regular season. Again, the league has gotten better. Teams have gotten better. These guys are not playing a look at defense. Neither one of these guys are trying to get injured. So, it looks good.
Well, let me ask you this, because I know you have brought this up to me. I wasn't as in tuned because I was on vacation. So, these guys, I believe, this was posted on September 1st. I believe they did this while I was on vacation. Right. You have brought it up to me, hey, these guys were working out. Did anything annoy you, or did anything stand out to a point where you were like, you know what, why is this so important right now when they're in training camp in the next 3 to 4 weeks? Was it anything about this that made you, question the workout?
Well, the thing is, Beal has been working out for a while. So when you were on vacation, there was another clip that came out. I don't know if this is the same one, where Beal was working out, and you had Trae Young, you had Carmelo. He was working out with those guys. And 2 Chainz was actually, to be honest with you, in that particular clip, that's what stood out the most was 2 Chainz, because he hit an awkward shot, an off-balance shot with very good coverage.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, with this clip here, especially with Dinwiddie, it's more to try to prove to Wiz Nation that, hey, look, this backcourt is going to be a problem. Again, it looks promising, especially to see Spencer Dinwiddie out there playing and, being healthy. But again, these are pickup games. That's what they're called, pickup games. So we have to see when the season really, truly matters. And that's going to lead into the next topic that we're going to be talking about as well.
Well, the reason why I asked that question, I know probably not a lot of people are going to agree with this, but
okay,
because I of course, me, I'm Wiz Takes, so I have to get my take on what I notice is good and what I notice is bad. Okay. A lot of people don't want to hear the bad things. I'm sorry, it is what it is. But there should be no reason why a franchise player should be playing pickup basketball at this point in his career with the likes of Jason Tatum, Kelly Oubre, even Spencer Dinwiddie. I mean, my thing is okay, sure, he can do what he wants. He can play as many pickup games as he wants. He's the one risking injury here, but the Wizards organization is allowing him to risk injury. So it's something you have to think about as a player of his caliber. What if he gets injured in a pickup game like this? Is it worth it? So I don't think a lot of people factor that in. Look, at the end of the day, I just said it. Beal can do what he wants. He can work out. He can play as many pickup games as he wants. In my opinion, I just don't think, this type of workout. You're 4 weeks away from training camp.
Right.
So, preserve. Allow your body to kind of rest a little bit. It's going to be a long season. You and I both know anyway, there's a good possibility that Beal doesn't sign his contract extension next month. He may wait.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. He may wait until next summer to do that.
Absolutely.
But he's definitely gambling on himself between now doing what he's doing all the way up until the time he signs his new contract.
Well, since you look at it since you put it that way, I would say it like this. Here's another way you can look at it. To kind of piggyback off what you said, I mean, I think that extension is up until the 30. Well, first of all, the organization nor Beal has even came out and even talked about the extension. Normally we would see that. So that hasn't even been brought up. But to kind of go back to what I said, the previous clips, he's playing with the likes of Carmelo, playing with Jason Tatum, Trae Young. He's playing with good players. Now in this particular clip, he's kind of playing with a lot of unproven guys. And because, RJ Barrett is in there, a lot of young guys. So to me, I can look at it as him advertising himself for other teams that want to trade for him. I mean, there's a bunch of teams. Denver is a team that's possibly looking at him. We know that the Celtics are monitoring it. We know that the Golden State Warriors are monitoring Bradley Beal's situation in Washington. This guy is advertising himself for those other franchises, which again is going to lead to the next topic that we're going to talk about, which is him wanting to shoot deeper threes. But that's clearly what this man is doing. He's advertising himself and building chemistry with other players from other teams, just in case if he ends up going there. Because if he doesn't sign the extension, everybody is expecting him to be moved either by or before the trade deadline.
Okay. Exactly. I mean, that's kind of how I'm looking at it. So let's go ahead and go to what you were referring to here, which was Beal taking deeper threes.
So what I'm gonna do is it's 13 seconds. I'm gonna let the whole clip play, and then I'm gonna chime in on what I think about this clip. I'm just gonna let it play for those 13 seconds.
Okay. So we got easy money. So this was a post by Quentin Mayo, and it's just a video of Beal shooting deeper threes.
Okay. So we talked about this briefly in the last video that he said he wants to shoot deeper threes.
Mm-hmm.
Why is this a concern that he needs to shoot deeper threes? We know that Damian Lillard does it. Steph Curry does it. Trae Young does it. But why, at the age of 28, is Bradley Beal focusing on shooting deeper threes? What is all this about? Again, this guy is advertising himself. He's trying to prove to everybody with the easy money thing that he is worth the supermax that he can possibly end up getting. Now, he's not going to get it this year, but the one he'll get next year from us will be way more will pretty much be the highest contract an NBA player would have, in NBA history. And he's trying to prove it, to shoot deeper threes. Clearly, when the coach said offense was not the issue, it was defense. This guy is saying he wants to shoot deeper threes. I don't understand why that's a concern. Why is he focusing on shooting deeper threes?
Well, one thing I'm going to need him to do is if you're going to take deeper threes, you need to make sure that right foot ain't on the line, bro. Because right now you shooting. Right now you out of bounds where you shooting from. I mean,
but do you know what? That's a good thing for him. That's a good thing for him. But if you shooting deeper threes, does that mean you're gonna be standing at the Wizards logo shooting these deep threes? I mean, again, why is that a concern?
Well, I mean, here's my thing. I don't know if Wes Unseld Jr.'s even asking for him to do that. I think what he's doing is he's trying to justify this new contract. You know, we know where he lacks. We know he lacks defense on defense. We know where he's not lacking. We know he's not lacking on the offensive end.
Nope.
He has struggled, however, he has struggled in recent memory in recent years. Him from the three-point line, he's been struggling. He hasn't been hitting that shot as consistent as maybe, you know, in his earlier years. Beal went from a guy who was almost a guaranteed knockdown three-point shooter to a guy you rarely want to see take a shot, take a three, a deep three off the dribble. And as you see, these aren't off the dribble, right? These are spot up. These are spot up threes. These aren't threes he's hitting off the dribble. So look, at the end of the day, I don't really know why this is important. I don't see this being a reason to, you know, be in any like he's proven himself to be in any type of Steph Curry or Dame Lillard range talk. But, you know, I look at this as, you know, PR. He wants to justify his new contract. So, hey, I'm also a deep three guy. You know, I'm also a guy who can take it to the rim. I can score anywhere on the floor. But we know that, Bradley Beal. We know you can score anywhere on the floor. Why do we need to see this video of you hitting deeper threes? It doesn't prove anything for the team's sake. It just proves that you're doing this for contract purposes.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, we grew up in an era when you had a guy like Michael Jordan who honed this game and he practiced. These are, you know, he doesn't shoot the deep three, but we know how he practiced, you know, on his shots and making the type of, you know, phenomenal shots that he's made in his career. But one thing that Michael Jordan also worked on was being a leader of his basketball franchise. This is what Bradley Beal has been lacking since he's been given the opportunity to lead this team. We've always questioned his leadership. And when I'm seeing him shooting deep threes, that's not showing me leadership. If anything, that's just showing individualism, you know, more so focusing on honing your craft and perfecting your craft. And he's done that. We've never questioned him about that.
Right.
But what we have questioned him.
No, go ahead.
Oh, no, I said, but what we have questioned him about was his leadership. Can he lead this team to win ball games? And when I see this, I don't see that.
Well, what did Allen Iverson say? We talking about practice, man. We talking about practice. Now, look, at the end of the day, I don't have a problem with Panda working on his three ball. If he wants to work on his three ball, I don't care. I mean, shoot from anywhere on the court. Shoot from half court for all I care. But, you know, I wonder what Panda is focusing on us in this offseason. That's what, you know, this post was about. It was about showing Bradley Beal working on the deep three. I don't recall ever seeing any videos of Kobe working on his fadeaway or Michael Jordan working on his fadeaway or even LeBron. I don't recall seeing LeBron, you know, showing practice videos of him working on his deep three. And LeBron been hitting deep threes majority of his career. You know, it's
not during the contract season. You don't see that.
This is all PR, man. It is. It is.
Of course.
It's all PR. Like, I get it. You know, I get it. But you can't pull a fast one on me, man. I've been a lifelong NBA Wizards fan practically my whole life, and I know PR when I see it. Let's just put it that way. I know what it looks like. And
so let me read. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Well, and another thing too, and I didn't bring this up, but I just thought about it. Why do most NBA players make videos of them and what they can do, you know, in practice? Why? It's not just for the current team that you're playing for. it's also for other teams as well to see what you've been doing or what you do in the offseason. So
Right.
to me, this is just advertising himself for not only, you know, the red, white, and blue, the Washington Wizards, but this is advertising himself for all the other basketball teams in the league.
Absolutely. Like, let me ask you this, my dude. Okay, so we know Bradley Beal's name been thrown around in the rumor mill, but Damian Lillard's name has been thrown around in the rumor mill as well. Have you seen any videos of Damian Lillard doing any of this right now when
No,
we're a month away from training camp?
no, absolutely
So
not.
again, my point is, what was the purpose of this video? Again, I believe he's advertising himself to any team that's interested in him, and he's trying to justify why he should get paid 250 something $1 million, for the next 5 years from the Wizards organization. Now, before we go further, let me read a comment that I had read. I sent it to you via text, but I'm gonna read you a comment that I had read on Facebook
Mm-hmm.
pertaining to this video. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
not gonna mention the person's name. I should because I know they don't watch our channel anyway, but I'm not gonna mention their name. But this is exactly what this person said, and I'm gonna read it verbatim. It says, "This shit don't have nothing to do with winning. This proves why Bradley Beal is a third option at best. He should have spoken to how the game has slowed down for him and it's easier for him to get to his spots. He's trying to be like somebody else in this copycat league.
Mm-hmm.
He used to have so much promise." Now, this was an interesting part he said here, and I definitely want to get your take on this if you agree or if you disagree with this particular sentence. But he says, playing in the backcourt with John and Russ messed up with the way Brad's approached the game. He need to play with a Drew Holiday or a Mike Conley Jr. Give me your take on those last two sentences in that comment.
Um, repeat the last part because you broke up at the end. Repeat that last part of your sentence.
So I'm gonna read the last two sentences. What
Yeah,
he was saying. He said he used to have so much promise.
yeah.
Playing in the backcourt with John and Russ messed up the way Brad approaches the game. He needed to play with a Drew Holiday or Mike Conley Jr.
Brad needed to play with Drew Holiday or Mike Conley Jr.
Right, instead of Russ or John.
Yeah. Look, I agree. See, the thing is Bradley Beal he's a scorer first. So,
Right.
in my opinion, I think that other players are better complementary players for someone like Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal,
Mm-hmm.
Bradley Beal, playing alongside John Wall, playing alongside Russell Westbrook, they weren't. I mean, John Wall, in my opinion, complimented him the best way that he could. Russell Westbrook complimented him the best way that he could. But Bradley Beal, in my opinion, that really wasn't the greatest compliment for him in his game.
Right.
I feel like if you do have someone now, granted, I want to say that's why Dinwiddie's here, is because maybe you don't have that ball dominant point guard. So, bring in somebody here that doesn't require so much attention. Maybe it complements Bradley Beal's game a lot better. Okay. But it's definitely something to be said when, these guys are no longer here because of him. Okay. They're no longer here because of Bradley Beal. Most people are going to say, oh, that's ridiculous, right? But think about it. If they complemented each other's games very well, okay, Russell Westbrook would still be here. It's not just about going home and playing. Russell Westbrook would say, you know what? Bradley Beal is a great, great complementary player to my game. John Wall is no longer here because Bradley Beal commands just as much attention as John Wall. So you can't have two alpha males on the team anymore. Bradley Beal wanted to be in John Wall's spot. He wanted to be John Wall. Okay, right. even his loyalists out there, even his apologists are gonna say The reason why they no longer wanted John Wall here is because they believe Bradley Beal could lead this team better than John Wall could. Bottom line is, Bradley Beal is on an island by himself because he has yet to find a teammate that complements his game very well. And
so that brings me to the next question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So if John Wall and Russell Westbrook doesn't complement Bradley Beal, and it seems like maybe Dinwiddie and Howell Neto and Aaron Holiday they does, well, who will complement Rui Hachimura then? When are we going to finally see who's going to complement him?
It's the same problem, man. It's the same problem. Bradley Beal should be the guy that complements Rui's game, but he's not. You're going to need somebody who, John Wall was a point guard who thought of other players first.
Right.
Bradley Beal thinks about Bradley Beal first.
Right.
There's a difference in the type of players that we're talking about here. John Wall is a pass first, get everyone else involved, spoon feed Marcin Gortat on the pick and roll, find Martell Webster in the corner. That was his game. Find Bradley Beal in the corner. That was his game. If Rui played with John Wall would find Rui on the pick and pop. Find Rui on the block. Find Rui. Bradley Beal isn't that type of player. So the bottom line is, my dude, is that I'm not saying that Bradley Beal is a selfish player. I don't think he's not a person that doesn't think about other players on the team. What it is he thinks he's AI. He thinks he's Allen Iverson.
Right.
But in actuality, he's not. He's more like the Mitch Richmond type player. He's not AI.
Right.
But he is the modern day version of AI because he can score the basketball at an efficient rate.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would more so say he's the modern day version of a Ray Allen, in my opinion. Ray Allen was a guy that could score with the best of them when he came into the league, and he was considered a franchise player. He had Big Dog, he had Vin Baker, which that was a nice big three, and then eventually it was Sam Cassell, and then at one point it became Gary Payton being there. But when you saw Ray Allen going to Seattle, they were going to the playoffs, but he still couldn't really get him over the hump. And then he had to be a complimentary player. Really, he turned to be a third option when he got sent to the Boston Celtics.
Right.
So, in my opinion, I think what Bill is trying to do, to go back to that deep three-point shooting, is to show that, hey, I'm not a Ray Allen. I am a guy that can really give a contribution to the team, to a team. But what team can you make a contribution to? If you go to Golden State, what are you? Are you a second option or are you a third option? I think he'll be a second option, to be honest with you, because with Clay.
I was gonna say he could be a second option in Golden State.
He could be a second there. He could be a second anywhere he goes. He would be second option. But I think he thinks he's better than a second option. Which,
right. That's kind of what I was getting ready to say is that
right.
In Bill's world, Bill is the first option. Okay. Right. In Bill's world, no matter what team he's on, it doesn't matter. Bill's the first option in Bill's world.
Right.
But in reality, like even when it pertains to our team, Bill should not be the first. He shouldn't be the first option.
Right.
But we make him the first option. You see what I'm saying? Like, we criticized Russell Westbrook last year for turnovers and stuff like that, right? But to his defense, Russell Westbrook looked at it like, I'm just a point guard here that's putting up numbers. Like I'm just a triple doubles guy. I'm not the first option. I'm not even the second option. I'm just a guy here to put up stats. The first option here is Bradley Beal. But that's the
But
problem.
but you know what? To kind of even go to Westbrook's defense, and his fan base will sit there and say, well, he should have been the first option.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because of what he's done. Him putting up the triple doubles again. I'm not gonna sneeze at that. That's pretty phenomenal. It's very impressive. Nobody expected Oscar Robinson's record to be broken,
Mm-hmm.
but his resume does speak for itself. And I think, as the same as people said about John Wall, Westbrook and Bill really couldn't play together because the ball has to be in Westbrook's hands, which led to him turning the ball over. But you and I know if Bradley Beal has the ball in his hands, he can turn the ball over just as well.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
Dinwiddie is the guy.
they both had a game. They had a string of games last year where they both had 15 turnovers in one game combined. That's unacceptable.
On a consistent basis.
That's unacceptable, man. Not from your backcourt. I mean, come on. You already know if John Wall did that alongside Bradley Beal years ago, he would have got scolded for that. But there's no need
Right,
to go down
right.
that. I'm not gonna touch on that. I can touch on that all day long. The point is, my dude, is that Bradley Beal isn't a first option guy, even though the loyalists, the apologists, even though they all believe that Beal complements people's games better than anybody, even though they believe he can lead this team better than anybody. The bottom line is he's not the first. He's not a first option guy, you know, and I don't know what it's going to take for us to really realize that as an organization. Yes, Spencer Dinwiddie may complement him better, but Bill has already shown us he can average 35 and we still lose games.
Right.
So you absolutely need someone else besides the Russell Westbrooks, besides the John Walls, that's going to offset the attention that Bradley Beal commands on the basketball court. You're going to need that guy to step in front of Bill and say, hey, Bill, let me be the first option. I will be the first option and let you complement my game. Okay? Complement my game.
Mm-hmm.
The last time that happened, I want to say was 2016, 2017, when John Wall was doing it on both ends of the court. And he was averaging a career high in stats, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bradley Beal was not too far behind him.
Right.
But that was the one year that they both complemented each other very well. Out of the 7, 8 years that they played together.
Right.
So we only really have a couple of years, or if not 1 year, to show for them two really clicking together on all cylinders. And most people are going to make the argument, oh, well, Bill was just younger. Bill needed time to grow. Nah, come on, man. Come on, let's stop with this nonsense about age and all of that. Because John Wall was doing what he was doing as soon as he got through the door.
Right.
John Wall, first game, he put up phenomenal numbers in his first game. First ever.
Yeah, he did. He did.
So, I mean, the thing is, people got excuses for everything. Bottom line is, look, we're not beating up on Bradley Beal for being a great player. We're just simply stating the fact that in order for us to be better than we are, he needs to play alongside other great players.
I agree. I mean, look at the Brooklyn Nets, for example. You got James Harden, you got Kyrie there. These are guys that were once franchise players. Kyrie was once a franchise player in Cleveland. Let's even bring that up if I have to. He was there. What happened? LeBron James came there for a little bit. LeBron James let Kyrie be Kyrie. This is something that Mr. Teal likes to bring up all the time. And then at a certain point, LeBron said, okay, you know what, Kyrie, you need to complement my game. And things changed. And once it happened that way, Cleveland won a championship. Look at what's going on in Brooklyn. Who's complimenting whose game? Kevin Durant, of course, everybody knows he's basically the face of that franchise. So you got Kyrie and you got James Harden, who has to complement this guy's game. And that's the problem that we have in Washington, is that Bill doesn't really want somebody better than him complimenting his game, because he still wants to prove to everybody that he is better than what he really is. Even Allen Iverson, to a degree, played alongside of Eric Snow, who complimented his game, but Allen Iverson was able to be Allen Iverson. But I guess that's a bad comparison because Bradley ain't Allen Iverson. But
Well,
my
no,
point
I
is,
mean, but he's the modern day version of Allen
he's
Iverson.
the modern day version of
Right,
AI.
right. I
But
mean,
the
you
thing
have to
is that you need somebody to complement his game. Like I said, to go back to Ray Allen going to Boston, he had to compliment KG and he had to compliment Paul Pierce.
right.
And that's what's going to happen when Bradley Beal gets sent to either Golden State, or if he goes to Denver.
Or somewhere
If he
else.
goes to Denver,
Yeah.
he's going to be complimenting Jokic's game. If he
Right.
goes to
Exactly.
Golden State, he's going to be complimenting who? Steph Curry's game. It's going to happen. It's just not going to happen here.
Right. Well, you know why people are going to say, you know what the argument is going to be about that, right? The argument is going to be, well, yeah, exactly. Look who Bradley Beal's teammates are. They're going to say he's not playing with the Jokic. He's not playing, with other all-star players. That's going to be the argument. It's
He
like,
doesn't want to play with those guys. Not in DC, he don't. I mean, hell, we could say the same thing when it comes down to John Wall. He's never played with those guys either, but guess what? He got sent away. So
there's so
I
he had a
hear
chance
that,
to play
but
with
at the
the
same
superstar.
time, we go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I was going to say he's had a chance to play with the superstar in Russell Westbrook. He's had a chance to play with an all-star in John Wall. The thing is what we're saying, Wiz Nation, is that those two guys are ball dominant players who command more attention than, say, Bradley Beal. So what it is those guys can't complement Bradley Beal's game because Bradley Beal commands just as much attention on the Wizards, seeing that we don't have any other all-stars, right? So if, let's just say, we have other great players, we have other all-stars, other superstar players, those players may complement Bradley Beal's game. Like, I thought about, let's just say if we got Kevin Love, right? Let's just throw out there a hypothetical. Kevin Love comes here. Someone like Kevin Love may complement Bradley Beal's game. Why? Mm-hmm. Because Kevin Love's a former all-star. He can put the ball in the basket. He knows his job. He knows his position. He sets screens. He does the little things. Bradley Beal needs that type of player on his team to be successful. It's just a fact. Not saying that Rui can't do that, but Rui is not at the point in his career yet where he's an all-star. Right. So what Bill wants is he wants somebody like that. Right. But it's like you're not gonna get it right now because those guys are still developing. They're young, they're raw, they're still going through the grow up stage. The same things we gave you passes for early in your career, we're now giving those same passes to your teammates, to the younger players.
Right.
So it's unfair to ask them to be players that they're not right now at this state in their career. We didn't do that to Bradley Beal, so why should we do that to Rui Hachimura?
I agree.
So, bottom line is, man, look, I think we both know what's going to make Bill successful as a basketball player. If he wants to win championships, he's going to need to play with players that are on the same, wavelength as he is. And in order for us to grow, we're going to need to deal somebody like Bradley Beal away for prospects or for younger players who are growing alongside the younger guys like Rui Hachimura.
I agree.
Because right now, the disconnect is you got a veteran player who is here, and then you have the younger guys trying to catch up to him.
Which is not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
It's just not. I mean, if you look at it, man, I mean, one thing that we can't say is we can sit here and say, well, Bradley Beal's 28 years old. Okay, but Rui Hachimura is in his early 20s. Denny Avdia is 20. Kisper, he's 20. What is he? 23. These are young guys. This is an age that Bradley Beal was at like 5 years ago.
Right.
Beal is in his prime years. These guys haven't even hit their prime yet.
No.
So if you think about it, it is unfair. You got Dinwiddie who's in his prime years. You got Howell Nettle entering his prime, but we're not really a contending team, and nobody can tell us that we are. We're just not a contending team. We're pretty much a play-in team at best, and we're looking at a first-round exit. So what we're doing is prolonging inevitable. I mean, there are teams that are monitoring this situation, literally monitoring what's going to happen with Bill, literally monitoring what's going to happen with Damian Lillard. I think Bill is possibly more movable than Damian Lillard. I think Bill will get moved before he does. But what Wiz Nation has to understand is the reason why Bradley Beal is not asking to be traded is because he doesn't want to be looked at as a bad guy. It's all a PR move. It's more of trying to control the narrative.
Right. That's why you see the video. That's why you see a video of him.
It's about controlling the narrative.
Because
and then when you got your
right.
Absolutely. Got your BFF that's going to post every damn thing you do and talking about easy money. He's going to do that. I mean, Bradley Beal could have been on the damn toilet taking a dump, and he was going to post that. So the thing is that me and DK, we see this. We see right through everything. And what's even more funny about these clips, they come out around the same time John Wall is getting all this love in DC. John Wall was at the Mystics game. Then you start seeing these John Wall Wizards highlight clips. Even John Wall even posted up a highlight Wizards clip. Then we see Beal shooting these long threes. It's like, wait a minute. I see these folks are starting to fall in love back with John again. Hold on, let me put a video out there to change that. Like, come on, man. I can see right through what you're doing, bro.
Oh, man. Look, that's the thing. I mean, Wall's always going to get the love here. For those people who just hate on him, they just going to hate. They really going to be miserable if John Wall goes to a team that actually contends and competes. Right now, they still got bragging rights because, we traded him to a destination that was already going through a rebuild. Who's going to be happy in a situation like that?
I think that, but you know what? I think the Houston Rockets are going to be a little bit excited. They may not win that many ball games, but I think they're going to have some fun over there. I don't think they're going to be as bad as people look. Like, here's the thing, man. What can we talk about with the trade? I mean, Westbrook is not here anymore. Mm-hmm. So the trade is still up in the air if it was a good trade or not. And the people who out there want to say, well, we got KCP, we got Kuzma, that ain't telling me much of anything, man. All you got was just a bunch of pieces from the junkyard that you're trying to make look like something. You got a 30-day warranty on these pieces that you got. So, I mean, it ain't like we got something special. We just got a bunch of spare parts that nobody really, really wanted.
Oh, man. I tell you, look, at the end of the day, man, I think that, the Rockets may do something. I don't think they're going to make a lot of noise, but it does depend on the health of John Wall and how motivated he is to play with that team.
Right.
I just wish him nothing but the best. You know what I'm saying? I think most of us in Wizards Nation feels that way about him. Yeah, those clips that went out recently, I'm trying to figure out, why all of a sudden, why was that, why was that like a 2-day spectacle? I
don't know, man. I really don't know.
Like what they showed, we didn't see for the past decade. Like
I don't know.
Lived it. Like we know how great John Wall is. I think that some people are just now coming to their senses like, oh, you know what? He was an underappreciated player. He was underrated. People talked about Rose, people talked about Kyrie, but no one talked about John Wall, entering prime John Wall, prior prime John Wall. Nobody talked about it. Because why? Because it's the Wizards. And last point, and I'll let you make your point. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
you know, Bradley Beal, I'm gonna bring him back up real quick. He needs to understand something. You're not going to change the way people think about the Wizards, bro. Like, I get it. Like, you want to be that star here. You want to be that guy who leads this team. You want to prove something to the fan base that, you know what, I can be loyal to. I can do for the city as well. We understand that. But you got to win a championship here if you want to change people's opinions about the Wizards, man. Period. Like, John Wall did more, I think, the past decade than we've seen any franchise player do. And I'm even talking about Gilbert Arenas. He did more than Gilbert.
I agree.
He was putting up numbers, man. He was breaking some stats. He was breaking records, as a point guard here. He did a lot. And it didn't change the opinions of nobody when it pertained to the Wizards, man. He made us relevant. We went to the playoffs, went to the second round, 3 out of 5 years? 3 out of 4 years. We made it to
Mm-hmm.
the second round. Okay. There was some relevance, but it did not move the needle, not even, it moved the needle maybe slightly on the national and global stage, for the Washington Wizards. It moved it slightly. Bradley Beal doesn't even come close to that right now.
No, he doesn't.
Maybe, Russell Westbrook last year, even him breaking the triple doubles record, I don't know how much relevance that brought to the Wizards as a whole. It brought more relevance to him as a player than it did the Wizards franchise.
That's the truth.
So go ahead and make your point.
That's the truth. Well, what I was going to say is I think the reason why we started seeing a lot of the John Wall videos was because of the fact he was at that Mystics game. And I think, in my opinion, when John Wall showed up at that Mystics game, for one, I think he had a giveaway, a backpack giveaway. That's the reason. I think that's the reason why he was here. But
Mm,
I also think he was testing the climate as far as the fan base to see how the way they felt. And even the people who were creating the narratives, and it was funny because some of the same people who said that we wanted to trade were the same ones who were sitting there saying that they missed the guy. So I'm like, it doesn't make sense to me. Like you say we want to trade and this, that, and the third, but then at the same time you say you missed the guy. So to me, like you can't make it up, man. Which one is? Do you want it? Did you want the guy gone or did you not want him gone?
right.
But I really believe that that's the reason why you started seeing that. And you're probably going to see more love because his birthday is on the 6th of this month? It's next week. So you're going to probably see even more love locally for the guy. I mean, at the end of the day, not all of Wizards Nation had a problem with John Wall. You just had a small percentage of people who had an issue with him.
Mm,
And that small percentage of people are the ones who is hoping that this guy will never make a Hall of Fame and never win a championship. They're going to always move the goalposts when each time he actually achieves the goals that they don't think he can do.
right. They'll move.
So
Right.
Beal, in my opinion, is a great player. He's a good player for the Washington Wizards. He's a great scorer. I mean, I'm not going to sit there and say he's not. But when it comes down to leadership, he's not a great leader, man. I mean, he's definitely a second option. And he's always been that. And I think that's the narrative he's trying to change is that he's not a complimentary player. But no matter how hard he tries, that clip of him working out with those players, and you just proven myself and DK's point that you are nothing but a complimentary player. You're going to be that if you go to the Boston Celtics. You're going to be a complimentary player there. You're going to be playing alongside Jason Tatum. You're going to have to let Jason Tatum be the number one guy. And you're going to have to be number two. No matter where he goes, you're going to always be number two unless you go to a team that's just as bad as we are, like the Sacramento Kings, where you can be the number one guy, but you ain't going to be winning no ball games.
Right. Embrace it. Embrace it. Embrace the second.
Nothing wrong with being number two, man. It's
Yeah,
nothing
just
wrong.
embrace number two, man. I'm gonna make this last point and wrap it up.
All right.
I've already thought that, and I've already in my head come to the conclusion that Bradley Beal at best is a number two guy. Okay. Period. And I came to that conclusion years ago. So as soon as we dealt Wall away, I knew as a fan exactly what we were getting ourselves into because of the fact that I had already had it in my mind that this was a number 2 guy at best. And it has nothing to do with the fact that he's a great scorer. You can try to do anything you can to change that fact. You can do anything. You can create videos of you hitting long range twos. You can score 35 points per game. It's not going to change the fact that you are a number 2 guy at best. It's not going to change, Bradley Beal. And it's no hate. It's just a fact. Okay? You are the modern day version of AI, but everybody knows that if you played in AI's era, you're not matching up with AI. No. And that's just a fact. You're not Dirk. You're not AI. You're not Mike. You're not Kobe. Do I need to continue? Kyrie came to a conclusion that he was the number 2 or number 3 guy at best.
Very good comparison.
Ray Allen came to a point in his career where he came to the conclusion he was a number 2 or number 3 guy at best.
Hell, even Chris Bosh.
Chris Bosh came to the conclusion early in his career that he was a number 2 or number 3 guy at best. There's nothing wrong with just coming to that conclusion. I don't get it. So if, I'm just going to make this last point. Bradley Beal, for the sake of Bradley Beal, okay, not for your fans, not for your apologists, for the sake of you as a basketball player, come to that conclusion, and maybe we all can move in the direction that we all want to move in. Because if you keep telling the Wizards you believe you can lead this team to this and to that, then the Wizards are going to be stuck in mud every year because we're trying to convince ourselves that you are a number 1 option.
Exactly.
What else needs to be said?
Nothing really, man. I mean, you said it all. I can't disagree with none of that.
Well,
DK has spoken.
Well, that will wrap up this episode of State of the Wiz. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. And make sure, again, you go follow DC Hoopla. I love the jersey. I'm going to get my Wiz takes. I'm getting my Wiz take stuff. But again, follow us on Twitter and YouTube. Thanks again. We'll check you guys out, or we'll see you guys next on the next episode of State of the Wiz.
Peace out.